The first familiar summoned by Rex was a giant dragon egg. Chris became interested in Rex's egg, and that's how they met. Wait, what? Alto and Vermeil stroll through the city. While he's thinking about what to make for dinner, his sugar mommy only cares about sweets. Alto promises to give her whatever she wants if she helps him with his tasks. Vermeil is happy and gives him a big kiss in front of everyone. At that moment, Rex's brother shows up asking for help. Rex completely massacres Chris. She asks what he did, but even he isn't sure. Part of his body is covered in strange rocks. Chris takes the beating without fighting back, which upsets Rex even more. When she tearfully begs him to stop, Alto and the others arrive. Rex thinks this is great and wants to fight Alto. He summons his dinosaur, which is also covered in strange rocks. Vermeil notices something odd about that mana, and as they prepare to attack, a white-haired girl appears. She is incredibly fast and uses her judgment sword to defeat Rex with multiple strikes at once. Her name is Elena, and she wants to punish Rex in the name of absolute justice. She helps Chris and calls her a disgrace for losing to someone so weak. Rex calls her a bitch and tells her not to interfere in the fight, but he soon collapses to the ground, exhausted. Chris tells Elena to go to hell and runs to Rex. Funny how she's so concerned about him now. Elena asked Vermeil if she recognized that power, but she denies it. At the student council, the group discusses these strange incidents and who might have caused them. Chris slams the table and leaves the room in the middle of the meeting. Jessica doesn't understand this. Chris herself punished Rex before, so why the grudge now? Chris likes to be tough with her toys, but doesn't like when others mistreat what's hers. The bronze level exam is approaching, and this is Alto's chance. Vermeil says she's tired and will go back to the room while he studies. Lillian finds it strange. Vermeil never leaves Alto's side. She has been acting strangely since the confrontation with Rex. Lilia sees that she's finally alone with Alto and almost invites him to study in her room. On her way, Vermeil encounters Alto's professor and senses the same mana as before. She has been observing him and knows he is behind everything. Vermeil says it's none of her business, but that's too much power for a human, so he better be careful. She doesn't intend to tell anyone, but if Professor Obsidian so much as touches Alto, Vermeil will shatter his soul completely. However, she underestimated Obsidian. In a moment of carelessness, Vermeil is caught by the drug used by the professor and becomes numb. While Lilia was trying to get Alto to notice her in every way, he feels through the mark that Vermeil is in danger. At that moment, the atmosphere starts to change, and everyone at the academy feels a terrible mana covering everything. Elena, the student council president, runs at high speed towards the source of this mana, but is blocked by a strange magical being, probably Obsidian's familiar. Meanwhile, Vermeil's powers go out of control, and her form changes completely, taking on a much more demonic appearance. Obsidian is perplexed by such power. Obsidian dedicated his entire life to this moment. When Alto and Lilia arrive, they are astonished by the situation. Vermeil is in a completely demonic and uncontrolled form. When Alto asks for an explanation, Obsidian is even impressed to see that he hasn't figured it all out yet. After all, Alto is a magnificent genius. Obsidian developed a magical method to condense his own madness. This was no easy feat and required numerous tests on guinea pigs. This drug drives magic insane and makes the subject completely uncontrollable. The primary target was a true demon, Vermeil. Thus, Obsidian reveals that he was behind everything, literally everything. Oh my god. Did he drop that book on Alto so he would summon Vermeil? And finally, he could dominate a true demon. He is fully confident that he now completely controls Vermeil. But Alto's heart cannot accept this, and in a state of fury, his immense amount of mana flows into Vermeil, freeing her from Obsidian's control. Vermeil, burning with rage, charges at the professor to finish him off, but Alto instinctively jumps in front and is impaled by his beloved. With Alto's body on the ground, Vermeil goes even crazier, her powers breaking all limits. She is ready to destroy Obsidian in every possible dimension. But once again, Alto jumps at Vermeil and embraces her, calming her fury. Seeing a small flame of life still burning in her beloved's body, Vermeil calms down and uses the golden mana she received from him before in a kiss. The professor is astonished by such an act. Can true demons even defy death? He wonders. The golden magic used by Vermeil completely heals Alto's body. Obsidian goes mad and starts crying for having lost the sugar mommy to Alto. He injects the madness drug into himself, but this one is slightly different and gives him access to demonic powers too. resulting in a new monstrous body. But in front of Vermeil, he is nothing. She repels him with great ease. The professor falls into despair and sees no other way out but to flee like a coward. However, on his way, he runs into Chris, who fires fireballs at him. Vermeil appears behind him and punches him hard, sending him back to the ground. Vermeil decides to let him live since that's what Alto wanted. Later, after Alto awakens, Vermeil explains what happened and that she pierced his chest with her attack, apologizing afterward. But Alto says apologies are unnecessary. After all, he is fine, as if nothing had happened. But it's not quite like that. Alto was dead, and bringing him back had a cost. Vermeil used her own heart to bring Alto back to life. This means that now, Alto has Vermeil's heart beating in his chest. It also means that if Vermeil dies, he will too, just as if Alto dies, Vermeil will also die. Alto then says she shouldn't have done that. She would live for millennia while he would die as a common human. Thus, he understands why she was apologizing. Elena fought against a co-conspirator who disappeared after Obsidian's defeat, and Obsidian was arrested by the city guards. Many mysteries still lingered over the academy, but the incident was resolved for now. With Vermeil's heart, Alto now needs to draw mana from his beloved periodically to stay alive. But in a few years, this will no longer be necessary. Thus, Vermeil intends to leave since she considers herself a monster and shouldn't stay near Alto. Alto calls her silly and kisses her passionately. He then pushes her against the wall and says she is his familiar, and he needs her now and always. This makes Vermeil blush intensely, as does Alto, who runs off afterward. During the night, Vermeil was touched by Alto's words. Sometime later, Vermeil is still feeling down about everything that happened. Lilia finds her and says she always suspected Vermeil was hiding something. Lilia comforts her, saying it doesn't matter if she's a demon. What matters is whether she's good or bad. Alto is her master, so she should take better care of him since she's his familiar anyway. Vermeil is surprised by Lilia's confidence and thanks her. When Vermeil returns home, she finds Alto, who was looking for her. He asks if she's feeling better since she wanted to be alone for a while. Vermeil reflected a lot, and despite everything that happened and her being a demon, she really wants to stay by her master's side. She is completely in love with him, and he is all she wants. Even when she was alone, she couldn't stop thinking about him and how much she wanted to kiss him. Alto felt very relieved to know that his beloved's words are completely sincere and from the bottom of her heart. They kiss passionately. The next day, Vermeil decides that she now wants to dress like the other academy students, but it turns out her airbags are too big for the uniform. Alto sees that he's going to die of embarrassment in class again and decides to buy new clothes later. Meanwhile, two mysterious people discussed Professor Obsidian's failure and that it was a mistake to let him join the group. Several mages were defeated there, and the last one tried to attack with everything he had, but was easily knocked against a pillar. These two are Heliodor and Iolite, both from the Platinum class, although Iolite was banned. When Alto and Vermeil finally go to class, everyone ogles Vermeil. Alto's classmates thank him profusely for this. Seeing Vermeil in the tight, short uniform of a schoolgirl was the best thing they could have received. The bronze level exam is coming up. This is Alto's chance to start his dream, so he calls Vermeil to action. Obeying her master, Vermeil pulls him into an alley in the corridor and starts kissing him. He says that's not what he meant, but Vermeil teases him by showing off her large melons and asking if he doesn't like her kisses. Alto can't resist that look. In the end, Alto will need a lot of mana for the test. In the classroom, they are interrupted by the student council, who declare that Alto is under their custody. Elena herself asks if he will accompany them. At the council, Elena first apologizes for not being able to prevent Alto from being injured in the fight. Alto was worried they discovered Vermeil is a demon, but none of them know who was involved in the fight. They also can't interrogate Obsidian because he escaped from prison, so they rely on Alto's testimony now. Alto is relieved. It seems they don't know anything after all. However, before anything else, Elena asks if Alto is hiding something from them. This scares him, and before he can do anything, he is immobilized by Jessica, and Vermeil is surrounded by Shinuji's blades. Alto started taking the exam but got distracted when he noticed Iolite had fallen asleep. Alto tried to ignore him and focus on the exam. He noticed that the questions were harder than in previous years. Iolite finally woke up and quickly finished the exam in seconds. He looked at Alto, mocking him for being slow. They were reprimanded for talking, but Iolite didn't care. Suddenly, a guard rushed over to report the body of the student killed by Iolite. They realized that Iolite was not a real student. Iolite summoned a huge stone golem. He said he took the test for fun and revealed he was after Alto. Alto realized that Iolite was the one working with obsidian. The previous examiner broke in and saved the professor. Vermeil jumped through the window, attacking with her demonic magic, but the golem blocked her. It was revealed that Iolite was the youngest mage to reach the platinum rank and was called the strongest mage. Lilia and the others tried to help them, but they discovered the building was protected by magic that Heliodor used to prevent them. Iolite transformed his golem, equipping it with many cannons. Alto tried to attack, but the golem blocked all attacks. The building was destroyed, and Vermeil was captured. Alto became furious, and his golden mana began to glow around him. He unleashed an incredible attack, destroying the golem with a single strike. Alto became a Super Saiyan, vowing to protect Vermeil at all costs. Iolite was forced to summon his knight and managed to stab Alto. Iolite revealed his plan to use Vermeil's demonic powers to destroy the world. Alto became furious, and at the same time, Vermeil transformed into her demonic form. However, Vermeil was chained by magic. With this magic, Iolite could seal her powers, returning her to human form. Iolite decided to finish off Alto, but the book Vermeil had sealed blocked the attack. A woman appeared, the same one Alto had seen in his dream. She was the early mage and the one who sealed Vermeil. The witch immediately sent Alto into Vermeil's memories. He found himself 550 years ago and saw a child version of Vermeil. The mage explained that Vermeil was raised by a nun along with a few other people. They lived together like a family, and Vermeil was happy that they knew she was a demon but loved her anyway. One day, the people discovered that Vermeil was a demon and blamed her for the plague that affected the town. So they laid siege to the church. Her sister told her to run away, and she almost left town, but Vermeil heard people saying they would kill her family. Vermeil ran back, but it was too late, and she found her family hanged. She was devastated and angry until she entered her demon form for the first time. In the end, Vermeil killed everyone and burned the town to the ground, leaving only a giant crater. Alto was shocked by what he saw. The mage said this was Vermeil's crime and the reason she was sealed away. Alto discovered he could interact with Vermeil and comforted her. She turned into her adult self and cried that her crimes could never be forgiven. But Alto told her he didn't care and would always be by her side. They kissed, and the chains broke as Alto declared he loved her. In the real world, Iolite summoned another golem that merged with his knight. Iolite said the only reason for Vermeil's existence was to destroy the world, but Alto told him to shut up, saying Iolite didn't know the real Vermeil. Alto combined his powers with Vermeil and launched his crystal attack. It collided with the golem's attack and destroyed it. Iolite was not expecting that. He started to get more serious and prepared his magic, but he was stopped when Heliodor appeared from the portal. Heliodor said she could no longer maintain the space warp. Iolite was disappointed but had no choice but to leave. He told Alto he would return one day to finish their fight. The early mage reappeared, surprising Alto. She called Vermeil a good friend and urged Alto to care for her. She said goodbye and repaired the building before disappearing. Lilia rushed to Alto, glad he was okay. A few days later, Alto trained to become stronger so he could protect Vermeil. Alto practiced swordplay with Jessica and martial arts with Chris. He lost to both of them but aimed to improve himself even more. Vermeil thanked Alto for accepting her and told him she loved him too. Alto was happy and they hugged. The next day, at the student council meeting, Elena said that after the recent incident, they must protect the students and work together to stop attacks. Despite knowing they are facing the Platinum Mage, they all agreed. Lilia, Marcus, and Chirolas celebrated that they all passed the bronze rank exam, but when Alto didn't show up, Lilia jealously suspected he was doing something with Vermeil. However, this story ends here. Click the like button and subscribe to the channel for more. Stay with me and watch the following videos. See you soon.